take his record, the greatest striker ever.
He was so powerful. I have never seen a player being so dominant in the Premier League.
There's a grace and elan, a beauty about the way he moves. He is the stuff of slow-motion collages which take the breath away.
In full flow, I don't think it was a better sight than seeing Henry running at the opposition.
Thierry was the best striker, I think, in England, maybe the best striker in the world.
He was unplayable. I mean, you can't give him any bigger compliment than that. From a defender's point of view, he was literally unplayable.
Without doubt, one of the greatest footballers that has ever lived. The word great is overused, but in Thierry's case, it is absolutely true.
I think he's a wonderful human being. He was unbelievable for Arsenal Football Club.
I think he came as an ambitious young footballer and he left with Arsenal in his heart.
In his 8 years at Arsenal, Thierry Henry emerged as the most exciting player of his generation. He performed with flair and finesse, guile and grace, passion and pride, and always with real drive and determination. He embodied the Arsenal spirit in his time with the Gunners, an irresistible force that helped his club hit new heights and set new standards. Under the guidance of manager Arsène Wenger and alongside hugely talented teammates, he helped Arsenal win a double and go through an entire 38-game league campaign unbeaten. Twice he finished as the leading scorer across the whole of Europe, and 4 times he picked up the Golden Boot in the Premier League. He became the greatest goal scorer in Arsenal's history and the record scorer at Highbury. But the facts and figures don't tell the full story. Thierry Henry is an Arsenal legend, not just for what he did, but the way he did it. When Thierry Henry danced through the Sparta Prague defence in October 2005 to score this goal, he was confirmed as Arsenal's all-time leading scorer. His final tally stands at 226 goals, and no player has such an extravagant array of strikes.
I always say, like, any goals that, does count. They're all important. Then sometimes, you score some goals that are, they are beautiful. And with it, if, that can be the winner, that can always be, like I always say, a plus. It's difficult to pick out the best goal, It's difficult. So many times I did like the top 3, the top 5, but now, now that I'm not there anymore, it's difficult to pick one, the one. You have like so many goals who are important for different reasons, and because of the team you were playing at the time and at the moment, and I really don't know.
It is an impossible task to choose the greatest from so many superb strikes. But with a little help from his friends, here's 10 of the best to enjoy all over again.
Henry! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.
Whenever I see that goal, I'm always like, did I do that?
Basically, the problem that he gives commentators is that how can he score when he gets the ball there? just the sheer guts to try it, because some players are frightened to attempt the really difficult in case they miss, but others have the audacity to go for the seemingly impossible and achieve it. And poor Fabian Barthez.
It was one of those moments where I think everybody just went, wow, how did he do that? And there were a few of those.
I'm all about instinct. I felt like doing this and he went in. The game against Liverpool, when we were 2-1 down at home and we won the game 4-2. I never felt Highbury like that before. When I scored the goal to make it 3-2, I felt that goal was, just a big relief for everyone.
One of my favorites, because it was a big relief, was Thierry Henry's goal against Liverpool when we were down after having been knocked out by Chelsea in the unbeaten year, and that sealed the title, that goal.
He's an artist with the ball, and he's got great balance and great skill and pace to go with it, and he can go either side, and he just uses your body. He's thinking, it's like a chess player. He's thinking like 4, 5, 6 moves ahead. So that's the quality of Thierry, really.
It's Andy Bale, and it's Thierry Henry, and Henry is magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. And when you need a goal, you need Thierry Henry.
I don't know how he did it, but he just fought for a ball, and it was a great finish.
If you ask defenders, it's the worst thing they can deal with, really. And plus Thierry, because he's powerful as well, he's got that strength and he's got the height, helps so much as well. He just knocks past players and just makes it look easy, and it's like he's running on, nothing really, just glides.
It's not going to bother Arsenal because they've got Thierry Henry on the ball and Zanetti trying to catch up with him. Henry steps inside, Pires is there. Henry will have to do it alone. Sensational goal from Thierry Henry to secure a sensational result for Arsenal.
There are hardly any footballers in the history of the game who have the capability of picking up the ball in their defensive third, going from the defensive third into the middle third, into the attacking third, and scoring at the other end. I don't even think Pelé was able to do that. Physically, an amazing looking animal, his build, his speed. I think he could have been an Olympic athlete had he not been a footballer born with the touch and footballing brain that he had.
That's not just any defender that's chasing him, that's Javier Zanetti, one of the greatest fullbacks ever to play the game. And Zanetti actually does his job. He catches up with Thierry Henry, forces him to check, forces him onto his left foot. Job done for the defender. Oh, no, it's not.
I think we were the first English team to beat Real Madrid at Bernabeu. Sometimes in this kind of games you need big players to come in and make something important for the team, and he was the one to do it.
It's Thierry Henry! He scored! He scored for Arsenal in the Bernabeu!
Sometimes I see it, on TV, and yes, it is a great goal, but I scored sometimes more difficult goal than this one, but because maybe the opposition wasn't Real Madrid and the place was in Santiago Bernabeu, so nobody talked about it. But sometimes, you need to score the goal at the right place.
You can't catch him. You can't catch him. When he's gone, he's gone.
He's on his own on this side, Henry, against Carragher. Oh, he's beaten Carragher. Thierry Henry for Arsenal. He's made room for the shot, it's 3-1. Oh, what can you say about Thierry Henry?
If you just have pace, then you run in the Olympics. I think his understanding of the game and his movement was his big strength. And you put that together with the pace, then you've got an explosive, dynamic centre forward.
Good spin by Henry away from Daly. Terrific shot, wonderful goal. Arsenal back in business, and they can do that in the blink of an eye.
It's very, very hard to mark him, particularly if you're a centre half. That's why I'm glad that I was a left back and didn't come up against him too much.
The little flick is almost like a Sampras or a Roddick tossing the ball up before delivering a fantastic ace. It's just it's an impudent little dink before the explosion that comes. Thierry Henry is a scorer of flamboyant goals, a great goal scorer, but a scorer of great goals.
Oh, good running by Reyes. Henry in the near post position here. How did he get that in?
Well, I don't know if it's magic or not magic. When the ball arrived at the very beginning, I just wanted to make sure I just chilled it. But then fortune was all over me and I couldn't really move from him. Then I just looked at the ball and I saw a space between his legs. So let's see if it's gonna work. And the ball went in and it worked.
You're often surprised when he doesn't score. Everybody knows what he's going to do. And the defenders have been primed to try and deal with it, but knowing actually the reality of trying to stop him, hugely different.
An astounding goal from Thierry Henry.
He'd sort of hypnotise the opposition, and people would think, well, he's having one of his off days, and then bang, he would just explode with something and score an absolutely amazing goal.
He'd just pull you everywhere. You'd be standing on the right back spot, and you'd be unaffected, because if you're going to stand with him, he'll go and explode into the middle and you're lost.
I think the goal against Spurs really sums up Thierry. Not only was it an extraordinary goal in itself, the fact that it was against the great rivals just made it so different.
He'll do well to catch up with Thierry Henry though. He's drifted away from Carr. Henry! What a fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
It was a special goal against Tottenham, which is when you play against Tottenham, you know that it's more than important. I never lost against Tottenham. I'm so happy to say that. So great.
He was at Arsenal long enough to realise what beating Spurs meant to Arsenal fans. I mean, he's unmistakably French in everything that he does, but he actually became the talismanic figure and actually captured the whole Arsenal spirit during the time that he was at the club. And so to score probably his best ever goal at Highbury against Tottenham in a big win, that probably is just about as good as it gets for any Arsenal player.
To be honest, I don't know why I ran so much after the goal. I was dead for nearly 2 days after that. I still have the picture when I stop in front of the Tottenham fans, and whenever I look at the picture, I always see new faces. Disappointed, anger. Some of them, some of the faces of the fans like had no expression. So we're just like looking. I just.
Sounds like your favourite photo.
Yeah. It's not far from it. It's a good picture.
The summer of 1999 and the first steps on the Highbury turf for Thierry Henry. He arrived with a big reputation, having won the World Cup with France the year before, but also with a huge task ahead of him after star striker Nicolas Anelka had left for Real Madrid.
Anelka goes through the centre, he's away from the defenders, 2-0!
So one young prodigious French talent replaced another, but Thierry was a very different player to his predecessor. He'd made his name at Monaco as a winger, where Arsène Wenger had given him his debut. He went on to win the league title in the south of France and proved himself a prolific goal scorer in the Champions League. However, his move to Juventus in 1998 turned to disappointment. And so the man who'd first spotted him in Monaco decided to bring him to Arsenal.
I met him in Monaco when he was 17 and a half years old, because I saw him play with the youth team and I thought, this guy creates chances. And after the coincidence of a young player, they pushed him wide, they kept him wide, he became a winger, lost the appetite for scoring goals, and when he failed, he convinced himself that he cannot score goals, because that's what everybody reproached him. And I thought, let's have a go and let's start through the centre again, like when you were a boy.
I came as a winger, yeah, and the boss told me straight away, you're going to play in the middle. And I looked at him and I went, you know, no, not being, you know, cocky or anything, but I said to him, I'm international as a winger, just won the World Cup as a winger. People knows me around the world as a winger. I'm established as a winger, and you want me to play in the middle? He said, yeah, trust me.
As soon as a player signs, you go into trial mode with the players that you sign with. Everybody looks at you first day and goes, yeah, he can play, or no, he can't. He didn't look a striker to me. That was the first thing I thought. He doesn't look like a striker, and he wasn't. He was rubbish, wasn't he?
I don't think many people would have thought that Thierry would have turned out the way that he did. I mean, into an absolute superstar now.
And his confidence was a little bit low. You could detect that straight away. But if Wenger was backing him, you know, we felt certainly, you know, he must be a very good player.
Everybody made me feel welcome. But then after, once it's done, you know, you have to show them that you can deliver. And at the very beginning, I wasn't doing that. And you know, the guys were letting me know that what was needed to do, you know, to play for Arsenal Football Club. You know, I won't go into details, but I'm sure you can imagine with the likes of Tony and Martin and Lee and Nigel, what it was like in training sometime.
I saw as my responsibility as being club captain to actually let people know, whether it was Thierry Henry or anyone really at the club, what was required. What were the requirements at this great football club? You know, Dave Rocastle, God rest his soul, always used to say, remember who you are, what you are, and who you represent. But tried to instill, yeah, absolutely, what it was and what was required from Thierry on a daily basis to be a winner and to be a successful guy.
It was just packaging it all together and bringing out the best of him, and putting him as a central striker was really the key to that.
We worked on him on some specific runs and finishing, and he got the appetite again, and then he became calmer in front of goal, and because he was intelligent, he understood quickly what was important, and he became a tremendous goal scorer.
Thierry's first appearance came as a second-half substitute against Leicester City on the opening day of the 1999-2000 season. There were chances to score, but none of them were taken, and it looked like Thierry might struggle to find his feet in English football.
Whenever you play football and you play for a team like Arsenal, and it happened after, whenever you don't score, it's a drama. Why, you don't know. Sometimes you're trying to do everything. I had opportunities. That was the most important thing, if I can say. The most important thing is to put it in the back of the net. But no, I wasn't really worried, you know. I think it was more a question of time than anything else.
In the end, it took 8 games for him to get off the mark, but then any seeds of doubt were spectacularly blown away. His first goal came down at the Dell, just 8 minutes after coming off the bench against Southampton.
Tony Adams. Henry. Again, Almeida couldn't stay with him, and Henry has scored a terrific goal! His first as an Arsenal player, and one that he and the Arsenal supporters present will remember for an awful long time to come.
But it was a relief because, you know, I think everybody was expecting the goal. And also on the other side, it was the goal who won the game. You know, I think it's always important when you can score a goal who it's important in the game.
On the way back from scoring that goal, I think I said to him, you know, I can tell my kids that I was there when Henry scored his first goal, because I could see that there was a fantastic ability there. It was just a matter of time before it all came together for him. And as it proved, he was an outstanding player for Arsenal.
We were saying, God, he's going to score soon and get his confidence, and he did. You know, and you could see it lift off his shoulders, this big weight.
Ince losing out, then Henry hits it. That is a fantastic goal. This man has really found form.
Kanu, Henry, could be another goal for him here. It is taken with great aplomb.
I think his intelligence and the way he settled in London life, I think he enjoyed himself, which showed on the pitch, and he got to know the history of the football club, and you know, the language he mastered he speaks better English than me. An intelligent man.
He always used to come and play against me in training, and I used to tell him to go on Nigel's side because I've had enough of him and I'm going to kick him, and then Nigel had threatened to kick him on that side, so he tended to sort of jostle with the pair of us for a bit of a laugh, but that was his strength, as well as his goals that he scored, his ability to change his pace so quickly.
If you let him turn and run at you, you know it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So his movement and the way that he received balls and the position he moved into made it very, very difficult for him to be marked, and I'm pretty pleased he didn't come out my side too often.
Henry starts a chase, Bold with him. Maybe the Frenchman with just a little sharper turn of pace. Henry! Oh! What a strike by Henry!
Thankfully, I only played against him twice, but I saw enough of him. And number one is the physical aspect that he brought to. He was lightning quick, powerful, and of course, the finishing was second to none.
Dixon. Henry skips around Bold. Henry! It's sheer quality. It's world class. And Steve Bold isn't enjoying his return to Highbury.
When you're playing for Sunderland, then like Steve was, against Thierry, he didn't get much of a breather that day, and I remember looking at him about halfway through the second half, and he looked 85 if he looked today.
Well, I have to tell you that although I was, the excuse, I was 36 years of age, I think, at the time, but it did tell me that I ought to be thinking about hanging my boots up.
Steve Bold wasn't the only player to be outpaced and outgunned by Henry in his first season in English football. The 1999-2000 campaign brought him 26 goals in all competitions, more than half of them scored on his own ground. Highbury undoubtedly had a new hero, and for Thierry he'd found his spiritual home. His first strikes at Highbury came against Derby County on the 28th of November 1999. It began a love affair that lasted 7 years as he went on to become the most prolific goal scorer in the stadium's 93-year history.
Henry! It's his second!
I don't have any words to describe Highbury. It's ridiculous. As you know, I scored a lot of goals there, and for me it was like my garden. I just whenever we had to meet over there, and I had to walk on the side of the pitch to go in the dressing room, it was just amazing. Every morning when we had a meeting there, I always wanted to make sure that I was walking there, because that feeling of the empty stadium, that maybe in 3-4 hours is going to be full. And hopefully that the fans will enjoy what we're doing.
But here's Henry. Desai gets across in front of him. Still Henry. Keeps on his feet. Henry! Yes!
Hetherington overdid that. Now here's a situation that Thierry Henry could exploit against Chris Berry. It's the classic 1 against 1, and Henry's beaten him, and Henry has scored! 2-0 to Arsenal.
I think it was the history of the place that he took on board. It was the marble halls, there was something sort of French in it in a way. There are some great palaces in France that appealed to him, but I think it was more the history of it. But he had an absolute deep-rooted love of the ground, and of course the fans there, because sheer ability on his part. He won the fans to the point where they could turn around to any other football club in the country and say, well, we've got a player as good as you. You know, you can talk of Rooney, you can talk of Ronaldo, but we've got Thierry Henry.
I would have loved for him to play in front of the North Bank when he was terracing, because that was a special end, and it was great to score a goal at that end. And I think he would have even loved it even more if there'd have been terracing there and they'd have all come falling down the terracing and swaying. It's a great feeling to be down that end, and it's a special place. But he knew that he felt there was something special there with the fans.
It's another extraordinary goal from Thierry Henry, who's been a scourge of Manchester United and of many other clubs. Swerved, confused goalkeeper. 1-0 Arsenal.
It's a lovely ball to Henry, inch perfect, Thierry Henry goes for it. Oh, what a goal! That is sublime! He keeps scoring them. A majestic goal. That is one of the finest goals you'll see all season. That season was the last at Highbury, and when the curtain finally came down on the much-loved old ground, Thierry marked the occasion in the most appropriate fashion. A win against Wigan was needed to keep in with a chance of securing fourth spot in the table and a place in the Champions League qualifiers. Plus, closest rival Spurs had to slip up, which added huge drama and tension to a day of high emotion. Fittingly, Thierry produced a real captain's performance.
Campbell heads it down. Perez! Arsenal score inside 8 minutes. Thompson takes, and it's a goal here by Shana. He's gone for goal, he's done it! And it's Arsenal 1, Wigan 2. Here's Henry, he's in, it's 2-2. And as it stands, it will be Spurs finishing fourth. And it's what Wigan do here. Henry skip round. Collett's Thierry Henry puts Arsenal 3-2 in front. It's a gift, but one gratefully taken. That's Campbell. Henry, Ljungberg, penalty. Whatever Thierry Henry achieves, his name will be forever associated with Highbury. And on the last day here, he has a hat-trick.
It was a pretty weird day. Really weird, even though it was a great one because Tottenham lost at West Ham and we reached the fourth spot. And I mean, it would have been better to win the league on the last year at Highbury, but you know, if you ask any Arsenal fan what could match winning the league, overtaking Tottenham, I think can match that.
A great picture of you kissing the turf. Was that something you planned?
No, I didn't plan it. But I think it was just a feeling at the time. Just a goodbye, really.
Kiss the ground, and the only player who could do that and make the crowd so happy it was Thierry, because all the goals he scored there, all the trophies he won for the club, so who better than Thierry to score the last goal at Highbury?
You know, I had a lot of great memories there, great goals, ugly goals, everything, you know, the fans, that togetherness that we had in the stadium there, you know, the pressure that we used to put on teams there was just amazing.
Henry's contribution to the game was enormous, as if he does write his own script. But then it just went through and it ended with he and Ashley Cole poignantly sitting on this podium in the middle of this wonderful old stadium. And in Thierry's case, somebody who'd come from abroad to, you know, into this culture, but had really taken it into his system and knew as much as any 70-year-old Arsenal fan who was probably weeping at the demise of the ground, what it meant, what the day meant.
One thing that will never disappear, because I do think somebody one day will come and erase my name from the top of the list, but I will always stay as the guy who scored the most goals at Highbury, whatever happens. So that will be a record that can never be broken. And for me it's special because I had a special feeling with the fans there and with the stadium. So that's something that I can be proud to shout about.
As well as being club captain in the last season at Highbury, Thierry had the honour of skippering the side for the historic inaugural season at Emirates. He even scored the first Arsenal goal there in Dennis Bergkamp's testimonial.
Henry's going to score! Thierry Henry! And how appropriate is that? The greatest name of the modern Arsenal gets the first goal for Arsenal in the brand new Emirates Stadium.
Walking out for the first time at the Emirates Stadium, what did it mean to you? It must have been a little spooky almost after Highbury.
I have to be honest, the first 5-6 games, it looks like we were playing away. Even though, you have your fans there and everything is going and they're singing like always, but it felt like playing away.
Did it suddenly feel like home when you scored the late winner against Manchester United at the Emirates then?
That's one of the games also that I saw like I heard like an explosion in the stadium. I mean, for me to score a header in the last minute of a game, that has to be something special. And yeah, it felt like something happened in that game. Yeah, the stadium is amazing, the pitch also, but to lead the team out was just great. But I'm old school, and for me, playing for such a long time at Highbury was kind of a double feeling, really.
The biggest cheer of the day will be for Baba Boom.
In 2003-04, Arsenal went through an entire league campaign unbeaten, an incredible achievement in the modern game. The team played with style and flair, but there was also a steely determination throughout the side. Everyone contributed to the cause, and Thierry added the X factor, the special ingredient that could turn a defeat into a draw and a draw into a win.
Vieira. Can Ljungberg take it on? First touch just widened it a little bit. Oh, it's pushed out, and it must be a goal for Henry. Arsenal, what have they taken? Less than 5 minutes. Laura. There's a miscue, and it's led to a goal by Henry. It was a Bramble's mistake this time, and there's no reprieve. Henry scores at Highbury again.
I just think the way we were playing at that time was the key, because we had the ball most of the time, and it was just like a 1-2-3 passing game, and we were already in the box of the opposite side and scoring like in a flash. It was just crazy, to be honest. The togetherness, the commitment we had together, and the confidence was just abnormal.
Everybody was kind of tuned in and willing to win and at the top of the game, and we all were kind of chipping in together, and all those qualities kind of came together and made a fantastic team, and Thierry was definitely a part of that.
He wanted to win, Thierry is a winner, At that moment he was playing, on his best, scoring goals, defending, helping the team. Was the leader, so. With play like that, it's easy to win trophies, yeah.
You know who? It's brilliant! Once more, Thierry Henry reaches out for perfection.
You knew if they had the quiet 20 minutes that maybe that switch would be flicked, and then Henry, goal, game over.
It's Thierry Henry who glides through and gets the goal that marks his 100th in the Premiership for Arsenal.
In a season of many highlights, perhaps the most impressive was Thierry's display in the Good Friday showdown with Liverpool, when the Merseysiders twice took the lead and threatened to end Arsenal's unbeaten run.
And turned in by Hopia. 5 minutes in, just what Arsenal could do without.
I think at that period he was playing with a real hunger and a passion, and that gives you that extra yard. And if we went behind in games, you could almost see that he was taking it personally and dragging the team, through and getting the goals we needed. So that sort of period, he was really coming into his own, and a very important player for us.
Gilberto for Henry, running at Harman and away from him, and running at Carragher and away from him. Still, Thierry Henry, fantastic goal! Absolutely brilliant from Henry. Dennis Bergkamp, lifted over the top of Thierry Henry on a hat-trick. Lucky Break has his hat-trick. And all the traumas of the week are left behind.
Gilberto. Henry, there's no flag. He's in on goal. He finds the goal. Leeds look, but the assistant, Dermot Gallagher, checks as well. But it is 2-0 to Arsenal.
Perhaps if you wanted to look back on just one little cameo of what Henry brought to Arsenal, that would be the best evening to do it. And he was unplayable. There was no way that Leeds could have had another 11 out there and he'd still found a way through it.
But Henry's definitely onside. He's in for number 3. Another Henry hat-trick. He blows teams away. Arsenal take your breath away. Plenty of green grass behind them for Arsenal to use, to run the ball into. Like this. Electrifying. It's 4 for the foremost striker.
In that season, he hit 39 goals and picked up both the PFA and Football Writers' Player of the Year awards for a second consecutive season. He was a special talent harnessed to a team who rewrote the record books.
He was runner-up in both the European and World Football of the Year polls that season. Runner-up to 2 different players, Zidane and Nedved. Zidane, okay. Nedved, superb player. Better than Thierry Henry at the peak of his powers, as he was then. Double Footballer of the Year, second season running in England. I don't think so. I think he was just about as good as anybody on the planet right then.
I think that in that year, in the unbeaten season, it was just everything about him, the whole stature of him. And some people could look and said, there was an arrogance about him. There was an arrogance about Pelé. There was an arrogance about Cruyff. There was certainly an arrogance about Maradona. And the arrogance was really channeled into his understanding of the qualities that he had and his ability to take on opposition and to turn games that were probably uninteresting. And even when Thierry was not playing well, you expected when it was 0-0 and Arsenal were up against it, one player would bail you out, and that would be Thierry and his ability to just turn a game on its head.
The title was clinched at White Hart Lane after a 2-2 draw with Spurs and celebrated in real style before the team went on to finish the season without losing a match. The next target was to surpass Nottingham Forest's 42-game unbeaten run in the league, and it was Thierry's goal against Blackburn at the start of the 2004-05 season that set them on the way to victory in the record-breaking game. The final tally eventually reached 49 consecutive games unbeaten.
Isn't that just Henry? Isn't that just Arsenal? Isn't that just typical?
You can only qualify a great team by winning stuff. Fortunately for us, when we did that, we won the league. So you have something with it, not only playing good football. You have something with it. You know, the goals that we were scoring were amazing. But I just would like to talk about the team effort and talking about the unbeaten run. Because to do it in a modern game, it's very difficult. To, you know, not lose a game for 49 games and obviously having one unbeaten season. And, you know, maybe another team will do it in the modern game, or I don't know, but hey, to do it, it's a hell of a task. Hopefully Arsenal can do it again.
Thierry undoubtedly played his part in one of the most successful periods in the club's history. But amidst all the glory, there were also moments of heartbreak and despair. In his first season at Highbury, the Gunners just missed out on European glory after a thrilling run in the UEFA Cup, in which he contributed 7 goals, scoring in every round.
Petit takes it. Got it from Thierry Henry's header. This is Ray Parlour. Tapped in by Thierry Henry. Ljungberg. Silvinho. Henry. Henry! Arsenal take a big step towards the UEFA Cup final.
And that final took place in Copenhagen, and many expected Arsenal to triumph over their Turkish opponents Galatasaray. But it was to be a frustrating evening.
How Arsenal didn't win that UEFA Cup, I don't know. I commentated on the final, and generally they were strong favourites going in. But it was a disappointing ending to a campaign in which Henry certainly announced himself.
It's a bit of a miss kick by Bergkamp over Mars. Had a look to see what was on in the centre, went for goal himself. And Taffarel, my goodness, needed to stop that. Henry. Now the turn of foot from the Frenchman. Okeon! What a chance! Parlour worked it wide well this time. It's Henry! Taffarel has kept it out somehow.
I think it was a game that we were expected to win. It wasn't a fantastic game. We had a couple of chances. We basically didn't take them, and in the end it comes down to a penalty shootout.
No, we had a really bad penalty shootout. I think we had the opportunities in the game to win it before, but we lost it. You know, sometimes football is weird.
Stretching his legs and getting away from Dixon and getting his shot away. That's there. That is just absolutely fantastic. He has won the cup for Liverpool all by himself.
There was more misery in the Millennium Stadium 12 months later, but the setback seemed to galvanise the Gunners.
It did help in a way. Sometimes you learn from your mistake, and you always try to remember the bad memories to make sure that it won't happen again. Unfortunately, sometimes it does. But hey, you know, we managed to win the double the year after.
This ball from Campbell. Wiltord faced by Southgate, pulled back towards Parlour. Came to Henry! Off and running, instinct sharp.
Henry. Ljungberg.
Henry through the middle. Has Ljungberg seen him? He has! And Henry has scored!
Good work from Vieira and Bergkamp. This is Wiltor. Looking for a run on goal. Henry, surely yes! 3-2 Arsenal. Guess who? Thierry Henry.
He was brilliant. I mean, that season there was a lot of really good players, but he led the line perfectly well, and he gave space and certainly a lot of passes to Perez and Ljungberg that season were absolutely outstanding as well. So the three of them probably won us the league on their own.
Parlour. Blocked by Brown initially, the back pass from Beckham. Oh, Barthez, straight to Henry! Absolutely extraordinary. Thierry Henry has got his goal. And Fabien Barthez has to take full responsibility. Gary Neville, here is Upson. Vieira. Henry, Barthez comes and has lost it. Henry has surely wrapped it up. For Fabien Barthez, it's a catastrophe again.
Well, I think that season, all the front players, by their development, they became much more collective, and so did he, sharing it around. You can think of the passing movements, Vieira getting in on the act as well, Perez, Bergkamp. He really was, at that stage, part of the fabric of the Arsenal team, and maybe that was the peak, certainly for that group, and he was right at the head of it.
Particularly long one. Cole Perez made it his against a rather tentative Boateng, and Thierry Henry in stoppage time. Arsenal complete the comeback, and if they win again, they'll look to Henry again, as they have done in every Premiership victory this season, and every Champions League victory this season. The Frenchman is the main man.
The main man, though, was more than happy to share the limelight. Robert Pires finished the season as Footballer of the Year after some fantastic performances.
That is an outstanding goal from a magnificent player.
And it was Freddie Ljungberg who found his shooting boots in the chase for the title, as his goals helped Arsenal to a run of 13 consecutive wins. No one could match their ruthless attacking edge. And the first trophy of the season and of Thierry's Arsenal career came in Cardiff with an FA Cup final victory over Chelsea.
Wiltor, that's his best play of the game, really. Parlour. Can he have a crack here? Ray Parlour! It's a vintage FA Cup goal for Arsenal.
It's always a special game against Chelsea, and especially I'll always remember the goal of Ray Parlour, and what a goal. I mean, the two goals were just goals worth goals, I think, to win any game. And to win it against Chelsea, it's always something special.
Arsenal have produced two absolute stunners here. And maybe Chelsea are now finished.
4 days later, Arsenal had to travel to the home of their closest rivals in the league, Manchester United, knowing that the double was in their grasp if they avoided defeat. However, an injury prevented Thierry from taking part.
I was at home. I didn't miss a lot of games that season, but unfortunately I had a little problem with Frank Lampard in that game in the FA Cup. Twisted my knee, and I couldn't make the trip to Old Trafford. But it was a weird feeling, if you know what I mean. I was looking at it, watching it on TV, and I'm like, wish I was there. We controlled that game. Not even once in the game I was panicking. You never know what can happen, but when you have that feeling of not panicking because the team that you're watching and your team is just like give you so much confidence that you're not panicking. So the only thing is when we scored, I was like, I just wanted to go there.
Parlour, mistake by Silvestre. Wiltor has got plenty of pace. Ljungberg. It's Freddie Ljungberg again. Push out by Barthez. Wiltor! Arsenal have scored yet again in the Premiership, and this could be the most crucial goal of all.
I think to win the league at Old Trafford, it's well, I don't know if it's the ultimate because that will give them too much credit, but it's not bad.
Freddie Youngberg rather stole the show in the closing weeks of the season. Sylvain Wiltord got the goal at Old Trafford. But Thierry Henry's 32 goals were what won that double for Arsenal. He was the difference.
There was another FA Cup triumph 12 months later with a 1-0 win over Southampton, a result which gave Arsenal a Community Shield match against the team who'd just pipped them for the title. The rivalry with Manchester United became one of the biggest in football during Henry's time with the Gunners. The games between the two giants were epics, and there were always plenty of talking points.
The rivalry with Man United were more hyped and done by the press. A couple of times in a tunnel, yeah, that's true. But after that, you know, it's just a game. You know, sometimes you see other team fighting and arguing, and there's not so much hype about it. And obviously, you have winners in one team, winners in another team. So everybody wants to mark the territory, and that's just the way it is. But when the ref blew the whistle, it's a game. You know, it doesn't go beyond that. But then, obviously, with the press, sometimes they extend it for 4 or 5 days.
It wasn't all just about United and Arsenal, though. Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich arrived at Chelsea, and they became a major Premier League force under the guidance of Jose Mourinho.
That's Fabregas up to the head of Henry. Reyes, Thierry Henry, first chance, first goal! Inside 75 seconds.
If Roman Abramovich comes to any club and does the same thing, everybody will be happy, so you can't complain about it. You know, suddenly Chelsea became a team who was challenging to a team who was winning. So obviously you suddenly had like a third team. I think he made it more interesting for everybody in the Premiership, because for a little while it was or Man United or Arsenal, first or second. Well, you know, Man United did it with their youth team. Arsenal did it with finding youngsters all around the world. Liverpool does it also with people around the neighborhood. And Abramovich does it his way.
Injury deprived Thierry of a place in the 2005 FA Cup final win over Manchester United. But the following season he captained the side on an incredible run to the Champions League final.
That's a lovely ball. There's a chance here for Fabregas, and now for Thierry Henry. Arsenal 2, Juventus 0.
One thing was important also is we were known as a team who were playing good football, fancy stuff, and going forward pretty quick. But we didn't concede a goal for a very long time in this campaign, and which is, I think, against has the record of and the team also of not conceding goals in successive games in the Champions League. So that was a way of saying that sometimes you can also defend by going forward. We managed to do the both. Unfortunately for us, wasn't enough in the final.
Oh, he slipped it through, no flag. Samuel Eto'o brought down by Lehmann. Julie will tuck it away. Barcelona lead now. The referee's pulled it back. What's he going to give?
I do think if we had stayed 11 against 11, it would have been another game, even 1-0 down. I do think it would have been another game, because we were at 10 playing more than well, I would like to say, against a team who was well known as the team at the time.
Henry, towards Campbell! Sol Campbell for Arsenal, against all the odds! Pleb is on the ball, it's Thierry Henry! Oh, stopped by Valdez!
At one point, I think I had an opportunity in the second half that I had nothing left in my legs. When we hit the hour, it was a bit too much to hold against Barcelona, 10 against 11.
Out as far as Belletti. Larson, good control. Tucked into Belletti!
after a game like this that you've been waiting for so long to reach the final. It's harsh, but you know, you have to swallow it.
Great players need great teammates to make the most of their ability, and Thierry had no shortage of assistance from those who played alongside him. It was certainly far from a one-man show, and there was always a real bond between all the players that was obvious to see. However, perhaps his closest companion was his compatriot Patrick Vieira.
I know Patrick for a very long time. I played with him in the under-21, and I played against him before when he was playing for Cannes. You know, we used to share the room also at Arsenal. Then after we stopped sharing because he was snoring, so it was a bit difficult to sleep. No, it's only a joke. Now we stopped sharing, but great player, great asset for the club. You know, when Patrick was on tune, the guy just could play alone in the middle of the park. When Patrick was on tune, he was just an animal. That's what you need sometimes in a team. Patrick was the guy that whenever people were playing Arsenal, they're like, we have Vieira on at the weekend. It's going to be a tough one, you know? And sometimes the game was won already there. When Patrick was playing well, I had like 4 opportunities to score each half. When he wasn't okay, I had 1 because we were not getting the ball early and it was more difficult to break the defense of the opposite side. But Patrick was more like a leader on the pitch by the way he was playing. You know what I mean? He wasn't too vocal in the dressing room, but the way he was on the pitch was just tremendous.
Tony Adams, great Arsenal captain, and you learned a lot from him in the early days.
Oh yeah. But I learned a lot from Tony, obviously because he was a symbol of that era. But Tony was really vocal. To be vocal, he was vocal, and he was letting you know, and that's what I like, about Tony is if he wasn't happy with something that you were not doing. And if he was happy with something that you were doing good also, he was letting you know. If you were not happy with it, that's your problem. He wasn't there to talk to you like in a nice way or to make you happy or because, you're young and, I have to make sure he's happy and all settled. And, if you can't make it and you can't do it, see you next time.
The winner of the PFA Players Player of the Year for 2003 is, be unfair, Mon brave, Thierry Henry.
Mon brave. I respect him. I respect him as a human being, player and off the pitch and on the pitch. I think he's a wonderful human being. He was unbelievable for Arsenal Football Club. Unbelievable. And he deserves everything that he gets in life because he did know the history and what it was to be an Arsenal player. I'm sure he was very proud of that honour. I'd never played underneath him, but be a very different, captain from me. I would imagine that he maybe led by example, and sometimes you can win the game before you start because of the fear factor, because Thierry Henry is the captain of the other team.
Dennis Bergkamp, what a gifted individual. How good was he?
Dennis, I will say, I will maintain, I will always say it, he was and he is and he will be, for me, the best player that I've played with.
Edu, Henry. Edu freeing Bergkamp, who's gone away from Stubbs. It is Dennis Bergkamp, it's Thierry Henry. They're a pair. Wasn't that wonderfully unselfish? Beautiful from Bergkamp, and won't Henry appreciate it?
As a striker, it's a dream, because if you move 1,000 times and you receive the ball once every each half, then you can't express yourself. You can always score, but you have less chance. But Dennis, whenever somebody was moving, he was giving the ball. That's why we had such a passing, moving team, because whenever a guy was moving, the guy who had the ball didn't want to shine with it, just we were passing the ball. And Dennis was the master at that, You were moving, you have the ball. And for a striker, it's the best.
He's very special in every way. He doesn't really have weaknesses in his game. He makes it look so easy. He can create goals, he can score goals, he's got the pace, he's got the strength, and then he's got his skills as well. And to come across a player like him, I think you can only do that once in every 100 years maybe.
I suppose with him you knew it was coming. You knew.
Yeah, I knew, he knew also I was going to move, I knew the ball was coming. No, like, oh, I thought, you thought, we thought, oh, no. Bang.
And similarly, Robert Pires, you had a very special on-the-field relationship.
He's the same. Robert was the same, you know, just the same. Robert was just a pleasure to play with. Robert was, you know what the difference with a great player, they will make the team shine.
Here's Luzhny. Wiltor ahead of him. Pires though. Now Wiltor and Pires. Great football from Arsenal. Oh, and Henry equalises. Wonderful move. Tremendous equaliser.
Vieira galloping forward and driving into space and finding Sylvain Wiltor. He's got round Oglemar. Wiltor's cross. Chelsea for Kanu. And would you believe it, his control let him down. Pires to Henry. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
All that team we had, we were all team players. That's why people sometimes were like appreciating the way we were playing, because we were not greedy. We were passing the ball, and sometimes, you know, people were saying that it looks simple because we were just passing the ball to the guy who was free.
Now it's Pires. Oh, look at that for a pass. Henry! Oh, what a goal! Stunning in its simplicity.
Is there any other player that we've missed out from that time, from that era, that you would single out?
All of them. It was a pleasure to play also with Nyanko Kanu. I mean, you just kick the ball and the guy will hold it for you, and then you just have to move. Well, it sounds simple, I know, but it's not that simple. But when you play with a guy like that, if you can move well around him, it's a pleasure. Sylvain Wiltord was always scoring goal when he had to. I mean, that goal he scored at Old Trafford, I think everybody will always remember that as an Arsenal fan. José Antonio Reyes was a great player too. When you look at some of the games that he played in the Champions League and in the league also, you know, he was great. I can name the whole squad. Lauren was great. It's all nice to play, you know, the beautiful football where we had guys at the back who were working really hard for us. Sol Campbell, Martin Keown at the time. Kolo arrived after, you know, Ashley Cole, you know, we had that. Everybody knew we were always attacking from the left, but they couldn't stop us from the left. So, you know, that understanding we had with Ashley and Robert and myself was just tremendous sometimes.
And the next generation is very exciting. The player that's kind of bridging that gap between your time and that time, there'd be Cesc Fabregas, who seems to be getting better week by week, doesn't he?
Cesc has been great for a very long time, but now he's finishing. What can you ask more from the guy? Assist, finishing, he's working hard. He's young, he has everything right now to be the best in England, if not anywhere else. But he is obviously the guy of this era, but he started so early that I think is the right time for him to shine. He was shining before, to be honest.
Inside the pitch, all you can do is just watch, enjoy from him, and try to collaborate, you know, next to him. But outside the pitch, you know, the way everybody respects him, the way he gives advices to the young people, he had given me, you know, some advices, and the ones, some of them, you know, I will keep them in my mind all my life, because they were very important, you know, at the time when he did it, and you know, he was a great captain. It was a shame, you know, he left us, but we wish him all the best.
Football should be about entertainment and enjoyment, and in his time with Arsenal, no one was more entertaining than Thierry Henry.
He liked to play football, you know. For him, the football is a pleasure, you know. It's not a job. You have to play like in the street. Yeah, sometimes if you can do some skill, you know, and if it's working, why not?
You could really almost go to any football ground in the country and there would be extra thousands on at any gate who were going there not to watch 22 players, but actually turning up so that they had the privilege of watching Thierry Henry.
He had an aura about him that defenders were scared of, so they would sort of not let him have the ball, but they'd think, well, you know, this is Thierry Henry, so what he's going to do with it? And before you know it, he had the ball at his feet. He sort of commanded respect, and he got it from players who'd played against him because he was so good.
Tricks and flicks are all well and good, but basically what he did was for the purpose of the team, for winning the matches. That's another compliment to the whole package that Henry was.
And for me, you know, even you are seeing him on training, watching him every time. When he does things like this, all you can do is just things like that because it's just amazing.
It was unstoppable. It was unbelievable. I think it was one of the best players at Arsenal, and you know, he had everything.
It's just one of those days for Henry. He can do no wrong.
Probably he's the only one who could have done that. But it's fantastic to watch all the time. The fans appreciate it as well.
I think it's the game, you know, sometimes the defender is coming at you, you know, trying to intimidate you, trying to kick you, trying to do stuff that you lot can't see sometimes or can't hear. And then I think it's fair if the striker scores and just give him a bit of attitude. If they kick you and you just suddenly do something like a bit cheeky and you have a little smile at them, you know, it's nothing bad at the end of the day, it's the game. And I think, you know, that was it with Danny Mills, nothing else.
Made to look rather daft.
As you know, he likes to wind up people, and he did wind me up. But then I said to myself, I can't leave the pitch without doing anything. So it just happened, really. I wasn't looking for the nutmeg, it just happened.
Look at the faces of the stewards in the background, and Mills looks at the linesman as if saying, surely that can't be allowed. It's like a magician, it's like an illusionist taking the mickey out of some poor stooge who's volunteered to come up on stage. Now you see it, now you don't.
I did play against him on one occasion. We played, England played France, and I did get stuck in a little bit, and Mr. Wenger didn't speak to me for a couple of weeks, although he carried on picking me. So, but you know, he was a sort of player, you had to get around him quickly, because if you didn't, he would embarrass you.
But it's not just the flicks and tricks defenders and keepers had to be scared of. With Thierry, he was equally lethal at set pieces.
What a magnificent strike by Thierry Henry! And Thierry Henry with a one-step run-up and a shot into the top corner.
You get a feeling that when you get a free kick within 25 yards of the goal, they're going to do two things. One is they're going to hit the target, and if they hit the target, you probably think that they've got a damn good chance of scoring as well. The opposing teams would be saying, you know, don't give free kicks around the edge of the box. 25 yards from goal, we could be in trouble. And a lot of times, Thierry, you know, scored some wonderful goals from free kicks.
It is Thierry Henry. It's a hat-trick! A brilliant Champions League hat-trick for Thierry Henry!
I don't know if he ever quite got the recognition he deserved as a free kick taker. He's such a conjurer with the ball. You can see the markings of the ball spinning through the air. And look at the height that he gets. There's somebody jumping in the wall and it's still way, way, way over him. And there at the end of it is another poor goalkeeper who barely moves, just completely beaten, just given the best view, the front row seat to see Thierry Henry at work.
It'll be Henry. Twice in 4 days. There was absolutely nothing they could do to stop him. Pires leaves it for Thierry Henry. Wonderful goal! It's the finish of a true master.
That's the all-round ability of him, really. And that's the confidence he has about himself, his ability, and that's good, really. And we need, you need that. You need that. He's confident as a human being, and sometimes he wants to take everything: free kicks, corners, and penalties. And I think he got his way with everything.
Arsenal have a free kick here. 5 in the wall. It's Henry. It's an equaliser. Who else? Thierry Henry. Another facet of Thierry's game is his ability to create goals. In his time at Arsenal, he frequently provided the ammunition for his teammates, and in 2002-03 set a Premier League record of 23 assists.
In the height of his career here, he was scoring something like 20 odd goals plus a season, but more crucially, he was the provider of at least 20 odd goals a season as well. Well, that's, you're talking at 40 to 50 goals that he's scoring or supplying. So that just shows you at that period of time how important he was to the team.
Slalom run from Henry. Perfect pass, Perez. Perfect goal.
Sometimes when he just opened up his body and slipped it to someone else because he's created the massive hole, the ease at which they score goals was quite frightening. Sylvain Wiltord was a fantastic finisher as well. They made it look very simple, and sometimes he would explode in behind defences and draw the keeper and pass it across for a simple tap-in by another player, if you could get up with him.
My best ever goal I've ever scored for Arsenal, as far as I'm concerned, somebody might disagree, but it wasn't an own goal. I think it was against Deportivo, and again I got a header on it, and Thierry would be able to pick the pass out as well as the best midfield players that we've ever had, because he had an eye for a pass as well.
Has anyone had a bigger influence on Thierry's career than Arsène Wenger? Well, Arsenal's most successful ever manager seemed to bring the best out of this exceptionally talented player. Truly, it was a special relationship.
I made my debut for Monaco with him. I was 17, I just turned 17. 2 weeks after my birthday, he made me start the game. And a lot of players were playing for the reserve. Like players who were 21, 22, have been waiting for so long to have a chance to play. Why you took me? To ask him that, I don't know, but that I will always be thankful, because maybe if you had chosen somebody else, why you took me? I really don't. And why you put me back in the center after also when I arrived at Arsenal? He can see things that nobody can.
Biggest talent ever maybe in football. Had everything you dream to have when you're a football player. Highly intelligent, analyzes very quickly. Time of analysis of the game around him was very quick. Great pace, great power, great jump. He used only 50% of his jumping power to score goals, because he could have been a tremendous header of the ball. He didn't fancy it too much. But he had aspects in his game that he didn't explore completely, and still managed to be the best goal scorer ever. In the modern game, what he did is just amazing.
He said so many times, people want to change a player, try to make you do stuff that you can't do. And he said to me, I don't want you to do that. I want you to carry on doing what you do best, If, maybe you're not good with your head or whatever, okay. Work at it, okay, but carry on doing what you can do, running at people and trying to score goals. Just be you. Don't try to be someone else. He said to me, don't ask yourself the wrong question. Ask yourself the right question. Because sometimes in the game you can always blame others, but he was always telling me to make sure that, for example, if a guy doesn't, you think the guy didn't give you the ball in the right way or whatever. He was always telling me that maybe that I didn't move the right way. Try to in a negative to stay positive. Not always easy, trust me, but you know, if you take it in consideration, it can help.
He was nice with other people, loved to a discussion, you know, was ready to speak always. No, was a nice guy. I just think it's the status that creates the responsibilities, and the responsibilities creates a doubt sometimes. Am I up to it today? Did I do well? Will I respond? With Dennis Bergkamp, it was exactly the same. These guys had a special responsibility, and this special responsibility, of course, creates a lot of pressure on your shoulders.
One of the things with Arsene also is a great human being. He's a great boss too, but on the other side, he's a great human being, and you need that to deal with a team. You need that to deal with a team, and he always gets the best out of his players. It's just unbelievable.
He's a great visionary. Is there anything he ever said to you that you thought kind of took you to the next level? How did he motivate you personally?
Well, the boss, whenever you go to the office of the boss, you go to tell him something because you may be a bit down about something, or to talk about the game or whatever in your life. And you leave his office, you're laughing, and you actually forgot to tell him what you wanted to tell him. So that happens so many times to me. He's just great, you know.
Thierry's last strike for Arsenal came at Middlesbrough in February 2007. The Riverside proved to be his most prolific away ground, this being his 6th goal there for the Gunners.
Thierry Henry has scored again!
His final appearance in an Arsenal shirt came a month later in a Champions League tie with PSV. He came close to scoring on the night, but couldn't stop his team slipping out of the competition. He picked up an injury that ruled him out for the rest of the season, and 3 months later he moved to Barcelona. It was the end of a glorious Arsenal career, but he left behind 1 million magic memories.
Henry! Oh, it was special! Does he ever score a bad goal? Thierry Henry, they all seem to be things of beauty.
How would you like to be remembered by the Arsenal fans, and what will you remember of the Arsenal fans?
Always great stuff. They've always been nice with me, especially when I first arrived and I couldn't find the back of the net. Just pure understanding and love with each other. And when you have love, sometimes you have argument and you have not great moments, but the love was always there. The only thing I would like is just to be remembered. However people want to remember me, I just would like to be remembered. That's the only thing that was important. I always said that I wanted to make history since I started to play football. And to make history, you have to leave like a trace, a proof where you've been, and I've done that with the record. I've done it also with my team, but I just would like to be remembered. People only remembered people who won and did something for their club.
Wiltor, Henry, is this the 100? You bet.
That's quality. Absolute top draw quality.
Remember when they signed him, they said he wasn't really a striker. 100 goals in 181 games.
I think he'll be remembered as one of the greatest. I think, I'm plucking him out as possibly the greatest individual, in so much that he could pick a ball up and run the length of the field and score.
Played the game how it should be played, and he definitely one of the guys who revolutionised Arsenal, attacking wise anyway.
Henry at the far! Sensational goal from Thierry Henry!
He's got Arsenal in his blood, and he has shown that all the way, when he's been playing for the club. He's been fighting, he's been trying to win, what can you say? He's a winner, he always loved to win for him, for the teammate, for the club. all you can say is thanks to him for all he's done as an Arsenal fan.
And Henry has taken it down and scored a
Thierry
blinder.
Henry is the leading goal scorer in Arsenal's history. Think of the forwards who played for Arsenal. He is the leading goal scorer in Arsenal's history. I think that automatically makes him one of the best 5 players who've ever played for the club. He may well be the best.
Got a shirt signed from him, and he said all the best there. Only 224 goals to go or something. But that was nice. Really, I got that framed in my room. But yeah, his record is just, it's fantastic.
It's Thierry Henry's 200th goal for Arsenal, and it's an absolute beauty from the master.
He's a product of the television age, so the legacy is there forever, every goal. And Thierry Henry, my grandchildren, hopefully my great-grandchildren, are going to have to hear about him because super, absolutely super. Top guy, top player.
He was also an ambassador for the club as well. I think people recognise that he loved the club, but I genuinely think that it was a huge wrench for him to leave. The circumstances were right for everybody, but I think deep down he's a gooner.
In the position he was, there was no better player in his time. They love the goal scorers, and they love the people that can put the ball in the back of the net and entertain. It's entertainment. Entertainment industry, and Thierry was an entertainer. He was class. He moved like poetry.
He will be remembered as the best player of all times for Arsenal. I'm sure of it.
Well, the advanced player here, other than Henry, for Arsenal is Fabregas. And here he is. Back again to Thierry Henry. What a goal! The master does it again. That is magnificent.
Will you ever come back to Arsenal one day?
You always go back where you belong. So hopefully one day that can happen. How, I don't know, but you always go back where you belong. You can go all over the world, but the love that I had in that place and the understanding with the fans and everybody else at the stadium or whoever was working for Arsenal, I'll always go back there. That's for sure. And I've seen it with everybody else. All the players who it's difficult to leave Arsenal. Whenever you leave Arsenal, you don't really leave Arsenal.